I'm Bishop Gregory Parks. Welcome to Take 5, a weekly conversation on faith and life. Very, very pleased to be joined today by Arleen Spenceley. Arleen is a national speaker. She's an author, recently written a book entitled Chastity is for Lovers, and she's also a parishioner at St. Joan of Arc Parish here in our diocese. Arleen, welcome to Take 5.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
It's great to have you with us today, and I know personally that this is a kind of a passion of yours, speaking about the virtue of chastity to young adults and to other groups as well. First of all, how would you define chastity, and why is it important for us to live that virtue in our lives?
Yes. Okay. So, yes, chastity is a virtue, and the Catechism calls a virtue a decision we make every day to do the right thing. I'm paraphrasing. The Catechism actually says it's a habitual and firm disposition to do what is good. But I like to say it's a decision we make every day to do the right thing. And according to the Catechism, chastity is the successful integration of sexuality within the person. So if we boil those two definitions down, it's really a decision we make every day to do the right thing with sex. And if that's the definition of chastity, that means chastity is for everyone, because all of us are called to do the right thing with sex. But the right thing looks a little bit different based on whether you're single or you're married or you're a priest or you're a nun. And so really the virtue of chastity is for everyone.
Yeah, no, I think that's excellent. I remember somebody taught me, maybe this is when I was in Catholic school growing up, that the definition of a virtue is a good habit. But obviously it's much deeper than that, It's interesting, you mentioned that chastity is also for those who are married. Could you speak a little bit about that, how that virtue should be present within the covenant, the sacrament of marriage?
Yes, absolutely. So, yeah, there's this big misconception that chastity ends at marriage, and that's absolutely not true, as you know. In chastity, we are called to uphold the definition of sex. And as Catholics, we believe sex is a sacred physical sign of the vows that a husband and wife made on the altar where they were married. And so I'm single. As a single person, I know that sex is not for me. But as a married person someday, I will also know that that means I uphold that definition. That means we don't use or abuse our spouses. We don't objectify our spouses. We have sex for reasons more substantial than just because one of us had an urge. We don't shut off our fertility. We cooperate with it. We give ourselves fully to one another. Free, total, faithful, fruitful is what we say. It is God giving you fully to each other and you giving yourselves fully to one another in marriage.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I used to speak with couples about that as I was doing marriage preparation, that why it's appropriate to wait to have that sexual relationship with somebody is until you're married, is because it's within the covenant of marriage that it's most perfectly expressed. The unity of body and soul. You've given yourselves to each other in marriage, and you do so in a physical way. If it's before marriage or outside of marriage, it's an incomplete expression, an inappropriate expression of that unity which doesn't exist. Because we do consider chastity to be one of the fruits of the Holy Spirit. And if somebody is struggling with the virtue of chastity, what kind of advice might you give them to help to strengthen them on that path?
Oh my gosh, there's so much. Ultimately, I think we need to remember that chastity requires us to govern ourselves. A lot of times people say, my desires control me, but we are called to learn to control our desires. This involves something called self-possession or self-mastery. I cannot give to someone something I don't possess. And so if we want to be ready to practice chastity, we need to be in possession of ourselves, which means we have to be disciplined. We have to decide to discern when you have an urge. It isn't the indulgence of our urges where we just act on them because we have them. And it isn't the repression of our urges where we deny that they exist or ignore them, but it is the redemption of our urges where we discern, is this the right time to act on this urge? Will it ever be the right time to act on this urge? And only acting on it when God says it's okay to do so.
Yeah, and of course, as a priest, I would always encourage somebody to bring that to their own personal prayer, asking God for the strength that they might lack in that area. And then also, I would say the sacrament of reconciliation on a frequent basis would be important as well to stay in a state of grace.
Absolutely.
Arleen, it's great to have you with us today. If somebody would like to get a copy of your book, Chastity is for Lovers, what's the best way that they can do that? Where would they go to get a copy?
If you visit my website, arleenspenceley.com, there will be a link where you can purchase either directly from me or from a few other sources.
Great.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, thank you for being with us, and just wish God's continued blessings upon you and upon your ministry. That's it this week for Take 5. May God bless you.